Now on CoastTV News.
September sales.
Before you know it, you're into holiday, and that's a whole other great, opportunity.
With the unofficial end of summer upon us, why some businesses near the beach are saying the new month is usually a good month.
The unofficial end to summer is looking cooler and breezy for Delmarva, and temperatures remaining below average much of the week and only slight rain chances for the end of the week. Forecast details coming up next.
Remembering Chad Spicer. It was 15 years ago on this date that the Georgetown police officer made the ultimate sacrifice, and we look at the ceremony planned for later today. Ocean City agreements, what the mayor and council could finalize right after the Labor Day holiday.
This is CoastTV News Today.
And it is Monday, Labor Day, September 1st, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick. Thank you for being up with us during this 5 o'clock hour. First Alert meteorologist Bob Trihey joins us now with a look at First Alert weather, and what a holiday weekend we are having, Bob.
Yeah, so far so good, Matt. The unofficial end to summer. Cool. We're looking at below average temperatures out there, and I think that trend's going to continue right through the day. And it's a cool start. 55 in Millsboro, 50 in Long Neck, and we've got a lot of 50s inland areas and 60s, even 70 in Lewis, 69 in Bethany Beach. A little milder there because you have gusty winds. Right now, we're seeing gusts close to 20 miles per hour at the coast, but then those winds die down as we go inland. But we're looking at mainly clear conditions, but I have seen areas of fog. So if you're out about this morning, watch for that. Otherwise, we have high pressure building in from the north, and that continues to pump in cool air out of the north with a northeast flow, and that trend will continue for your Labor Day. So here's Futurecast this morning at 6 a.m. We're in the 50s and 60s, a little milder at the coast with the northeast breeze, and you see the arrows start to appear more and change colors. That's indicating stronger winds off the ocean, so not the best beach day with 70s at the beaches, and pretty much everybody is in the mid 70s, maybe some upper 70s inland, but only low to mid 70s at the coast, and kind of cool as we head into the evening. So if you're having your Labor Day cookout, make sure you have something to keep your plates and napkins and everything fastened to the table. It will be breezy and cool. Mid-morning 68, by 2 p.m. mostly sunny, 75, and then this evening upper 60s. Temperatures remain below average the rest of the week with only slight rain chances. More on your forecast coming up a little bit later on.
All right, thank you, Bob. It's getaway day for many folks who visited us over the weekend. We got to look at the traffic situation in Rehoboth Beach. This is moments ago, and you can see things are pretty quiet there on Coastal Highway. This is just north of the split, heading away from the city. Now taking a live look at the Bay Bridge in Maryland, and these are cars heading away from us, and you can see the lane that's heading towards Anne Arundel County in Maryland. That lane on the bridge empty as well. Westbound traffic, you got one car there. We expect traffic to pick up as we put the wraps to the holiday weekend here on our coast. And we have referenced that Labor Day weekend is widely considered the unofficial end to the summer season. Things on the coast do tend to slow down after this. Coast TV News spoke to some beach businesses who had mixed experiences on what the long weekend means to them. Some in Rehoboth Beach tell us after this weekend, sales start to nosedive. But interestingly, in Lewis, one store says that is not always the case.
At our store, September is our biggest month, followed by October. And so we are looking forward to the next 2 months, and then before you know it, you're into holiday, and that's a whole other great, opportunity.
Co-owner of Surf Shack in Rehoboth Beach told Coast TV this weekend marks the time when sales really start to go down, especially selling summer items like bathing suits, towels, and sunscreen. If you're planning a trip to the landfill or recycling center today, take note of this. According to the Delaware Solid Waste Authority, the Jones Crossroads landfill is open from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Southern Recycling Center runs from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. and the Route 5 transfer station open from 7 to 11 a.m. The authority says hazardous waste collection and document shredding, that is moved to Tuesday, September 2nd. And all the other DSWA offices and facilities, they are closed for the Labor Day holiday. The Georgetown community gathered today, as they have done on this date for several years now, to honor Chad Spicer. At 4:30 p.m. at the Georgetown Circle, there is a wreath-laying ceremony in memory of Spicer. Now, he was killed in the line of duty on September 1st, 2009, and this year's remembrance comes as discussions continue about restoring Spicer's memorial. You may remember the Spicer Memorial was damaged back in 2023. Georgetown police say it happened when a drunk driver crashed into it. Now the town is considering the next steps. There have been discussions on possibly moving the memorial to another area in town, and many, including Spicer's daughter, urged council members to keep the memorials in the town center. Mayor Bill West said the idea to move them came from safety concerns, but added they could still stay at the circle. Today is the first day of hunting season in Delaware, and over the weekend we learned of a Delaware judge's decision to strike down a rule that would have required 18 to 21-year-olds to hunt under adult supervision. The Superior Court ruled that Delaware's constitutional right to bear arms applies to anyone 18 and up, and that means starting this hunting season, young adults can head out by themselves. The now blocked rule was part of a 2022 law that had not yet taken effect. Also starting today, the Maryland 2025-2026 migratory game bird hunting season. The Department of Natural Resources is releasing the schedule for each bird season, and that includes mourning dove and early resident Canada goose. The department says the teal season will follow later in September. Woodcock season opens in October, and hunters are reminded they must have the proper permits. New this morning, Ocean City officials set to tackle several key items at their upcoming council meeting, including final votes on budget changes and a new mutual aid agreement with Worcester County. Mayor Rick Meehan and council members who hold a second reading of the fiscal year 2025 budget amendment, and also set for a second reading is that mutual aid agreement with the Worcester County Commissioners and the Worcester County Sheriff's Office. Officials say the agreement would formalize reciprocal law enforcement support between the Sheriff's Office and Ocean City Police. With the drop in crime in Washington, D.C. after President Trump brought in the National Guard, talks of expanding that action into other big U.S. cities continues. Maryland's Governor Wes Moore controls his state's National Guard, and Moore says he wants federal support, but calls the National Guard deployment in Maryland, quote, completely performative.
My heart breaks for anybody who is coming up in our community and doesn't feel safe in their own neighborhood, because I know what that feels like. I would love more federal support, but federal support on things that actually make sense and not things that are performative.
Governor Moore says if asked what President Trump could do to help Maryland, his answer, quote, increase funding for local law enforcement and invest in community groups and community organizations. Now taking a live look at Chicago, the Trump administration is pushing forward with plans to start a big immigration enforcement operation inside this city. And this comes despite a pushback from local and state officials. John Lawrence shows us the debate over tackling crime in the Windy City.
There's a political tempest blowing in the Windy City.
Well, we've already had ongoing operations with ICE in Chicago and throughout Illinois and other states, making sure that we're upholding our laws. But we do intend to add more resources to those operations.
President Donald Trump has issued fair warning to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, saying in a social media post to address the crime in Chicago, or the federal government will take charge.
Chicago apparently is living rent-free in his head, even though on other days he'll talk about Baltimore, he'll talk about New York. Notice he never talks about where the most violent crime is occurring, which is in red states.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is pushing back at the president, signing an executive order this weekend that resists the administration's planned crackdown.
This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement.
Sources say the operation in Chicago could start within the next few days and may include a surge of federal agents and the National Guard.
President Trump has a mandate to have strong immigration enforcement. That is one of the main things that got him elected, and now we're seeing it's playing out. I believe ultimately the American people are on his side.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
And we're just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News Today. Coming up, Labor Day lodging. We'll tell you how the holiday impacts businesses for Ocean City hotels. Also, Sussex tax trouble, the real-life impacts of those reassessments for Lewis homeowners. And it's time for students to return to the classrooms when districts across Delmarva are welcoming back their learners. All that and more as Coast TV News Today continues.
It is 5:12 on this Labor Day morning, and we're looking at the Bay Health Cam in Dover showing quiet conditions. Watch out for some areas of fog out there right now, but nothing widespread. It's cool. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s inland areas, but 60s to around 70 at the coast, where you have stronger winds right now, gusting near 20 miles per hour. Otherwise, it's mostly clear skies as we go through your Labor Day, looking pretty good, but pretty cool too, with high pressure building in out of the north. So for your morning travel, I gave it the green light, cool and dry, and for the PM travel, also good shape, breezy and mild conditions.
With many schools scheduled to begin classes this week, safety is top of mind. DelDOT is reminding drivers to always double check crosswalks, use caution in school zones, never tailgate a school bus, and stop when the stop sign arm is extended. The Delaware School Safety Center says it provides resources like emergency training, support through school safety grants, anonymous reporting application, and more.
Being prepared is extremely important, right? So investing on that front end when anyone's prepared for where they're going to be or mainly to respond to something, they're going to do their job better.
As students head back to school, we're going to see more buses out on the roads. According to DelDOT in 2024, there were a total of 173 school bus crashes in Delaware, 36 of those happening in Sussex County. Again, while some school districts on Delmarva have already returned to learning, for others, it's a big day tomorrow. Cape Henlopen School District will see students return on Wednesday, September 3rd. The Indian River and Wicomico districts are welcoming students back tomorrow and the 3rd. Milford School District's calendar says students are returning on Tuesday. Worcester County Public Schools will see students on September 2nd as well. Got some big news for the future of science in the first state. Delaware State University is receiving an award of nearly $800,000 from the National Science Foundation to expand STEM education programs. DSU officials say the funding will help build a diverse community of highly qualified educators and address teacher shortages in the state and beyond. Costco's controversial shopping policy officially taking effect today. It was back in June. The warehouse chain allowed shoppers with executive membership to enter the store from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. during the week. That meant other customers had to wait until after 10 to shop. Some customers, they were not happy with the change, saying the company is favoring its higher paying members and alienating the rest. Spirit Airlines has filed for bankruptcy again. It's the second time this year Spirit has filed for bankruptcy. The carrier has been losing money since its failed JetBlue merger, and Spirit executives say rising losses, tariffs, reduced demand, and weak fares have added pressure.
A live look into Ocean City showing a quiet boardwalk now, but it'll be buzzing later today on this Labor Day. It's a cool end to summer with temperatures running below average, and that trend continues much of the week. And only slight rain chances come later in the week with the cold front. I'll have all your forecast details coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
5:17, and we're getting a live look at the beach in Ocean City. And Bob, soon we will put the wraps on the Labor Day weekend show.
Boy, Matt, where did summer go? Just zipped right on by. And Matt, it's your favorite day. September 1st is the start of meteorological fall. Yeah, and it's going to be feeling fall-like on this Labor Day. Breezy, dry, and mild. Temperatures only in the mid to upper 70s. Cooler at the beaches with moderate rip currents, so really exercise caution out there. Late week, it warms up, humidity rises, highs in the 80s, and a slight chance of showers on Friday with the cold front. But it's cool right now. 56 in Salisbury, 55 in Georgetown, Willard's 54, 69 in Ocean City, 70 in Lewis. A little milder at the beaches because you have a northeasterly breeze right now, and at times it's gusting over 20 miles per hour, but then that wind really drops off inland areas, but everybody will be in on those breezy conditions today. As we're looking at mainly clear skies, a few areas of fog. We're looking at some showers offshore. Otherwise, it's high pressure dominating across the Great Lakes, and this will be our weather maker really as we go through the next several days, pumping in in that cool air and keeping any kind of bad weather away. And we're looking at futurecasts this morning, looking at chilly 50s and 60s inland, a little warmer at the coast. Breezes pick up as we go through the morning, and by mid-afternoon, we're only into the mid-70s and low to mid-70s at the beaches and feeling cooler with that wind off the ocean. Could see a few clouds tonight, and this model is keeping us pretty mild into tomorrow morning with 60s. I think some areas will see 50s. Otherwise, another coolish day on Tuesday with mid-70s. A little cooler Wednesday morning with 50s and low 60s with a mix of sun and clouds, and still kind of cool Wednesday afternoon with mid to upper 70s. And our muggy meter showing comfortable conditions the next 3 days, and then it starts getting kind of muggy, humid to very humid by the end of the week as our flow turns out of the south. We're looking at the winds coming in out of the east-northeast, gusty today up to about 20 miles per hour, and that flow continues off the ocean pretty much as we go through the next couple of days. Winds maybe not as strong tomorrow, but definitely still an onshore flow as we're looking at sun and clouds Tuesday through Thursday. Here's high pressure over the top of us, keeping the bad weather away with highs in the 70s and 80s, lows in the 50s, and staying dry. And just a slight chance of showers as we go into late Thursday and Friday, but right now not looking significant. For today, your Labor Day, 77 in Georgetown and Millsboro, a little cooler in Rehoboth, 75, and feeling cooler with that northeast breeze, partly sunny. Upper 70s from Cambridge up to Denton, and then Salisbury, 77 for you. Ocean City, 75. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast. Temperatures do slowly warm up into the mid to upper 70s. Tuesday and Wednesday, overnight lows in the 50s, and then back into the 80s. Finally, by Thursday, 82, and then a slight chance of showers Friday, 84 with a cold front. And right now, first weekend of September looking good. 83 Saturday, but a little cooler on Sunday into the upper 70s. And congratulations to Trace Rosetto from Rehoboth Beach on winning a brand new umbrella courtesy of Paul Davis and Coast TV.
All right, thank you, Bob. This morning, Salisbury officials will continue to investigate the cause of a big crash. Salisbury Fire and EMS crews say they responded to the scene just after 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. If on your screen, we have some images of that crash. And this happened at the intersection of Naylor Mill and West Road. According to first responders, crews quickly extricated the patient, and all injured people were taken to Tidal Health. From $840 to more than $5,200. That's the jump. One 98-year-old in Lewis says she saw in her annual tax property bill this year. Here's a look at the bill Carol Orr got in her mailbox. The jump comes after Sussex County reassessed property values across the county, and Carol's family says she's on a fixed income and her new expenses go beyond what she currently makes. Carol's son Skip says the increase is devastating news for the family.
She is being taxed basically out of all of her assets. And in essence, like a lot of people who are even worse off than my mother, they're being taxed out of their home.
Sussex County has resources available to people whose bills raised by more than $300 this year. Homeowners can apply to pay their bills off in 3 installments, interest-free, and those interested in applying can check out our website and news app. Up next, Labor Day lodging, the next steps for some of our coastal hotels as they navigate reservations after the Labor Day holiday. Stay with us on Coast TV News today. Smaller lodging areas are noticed a smaller number of guests in Ocean City. According to some hotels we spoke with, they were bracing for a quieter Labor Day weekend compared to last year. According to the recent July report, overall, numbers for hotel stays have gone up compared to last July. The executive director of the Ocean City Hotel Motel Restaurant Association says those numbers don't paint the entire picture.
The oceanfront and the chain properties are doing fine, and that's what the numbers that we've seen are showing us, because that's all that's being measured are those chain properties. So some of the people who are calling me directly would be some of the smaller mom and pop motels who their numbers are not reported, so we don't actually know what the real numbers are.
And while the sun is getting low on summer, hotels on Delmarva hoping to get another big bump when crowds show up for Oceans Calling and Country Calling music festivals. Happening this weekend, it is the Shore Living Expo. This event celebrates health, wealth, and home on Delmarva. The free, family-friendly event takes place Saturday, September 6th at the Wycomico Youth and Civic Center from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, as we bring back First Alert meteorologist Bob Trahey. Bob, one nice thing about the ocean water, at least where I was over the weekend, no signs of jellyfish.
Hey, that's
a win.
good, Matt. I know. Yeah, we don't like the jellyfish, do we? And I don't know how many people are going to be in the water. Now, the water temperature will actually be warmer than the air temperature. That's running in the mid-70s, but only low 70s for highs in Fenwick Island and Ocean City today. Rip current threat is moderate, UV index high. Those winds gusting over 20 miles per hour time, so not the best beach day. Lower 70s in Lewis to Rehoboth with a mix of sun and clouds. Some whitecaps on the way up to Cape May on the ferry, so keep that in mind. Maybe a little bumpy. On the Bayside, your UV index is high, mid-70s in Cambridge, and kind of cool in Crisfield as well, with temperatures in the low to mid-70s, and will continue with those below-average temperatures for a couple of days, with a late week warm-up, a slight chance of showers. Much more in your forecast coming up in the next half hour.
Thank you, Bob. And after the break on Coast TV News Today, it's back to school season. Teachers are preparing, children are excited, maybe some are, and buses are back on the roads. We'll tell you how local educators are getting ready and the safety reminders everyone needs to know. Also, Georgetown officer honored when the community will come together today to honor Chad Spicer, who died in 2009. And Labor Day Business Breakdown will tell you some of our Delmarva businesses, what they're saying about the end of summer and how it'll impact them. Coast TV News Today, we'll be right back.
Now on Coast TV News.
September sales.
Before you know it, you're into holiday, and that's a whole other great, opportunity.
With the unofficial end of summer upon us, why some businesses near the beach are saying the new month is usually a good month.
The unofficial end to summer is looking cooler and breezy for Delmarva, and temperatures remaining below average much of the week and only slight rain chances for the end of the week. Forecast details coming up next.
Remembering Chad Spicer. It was 15 years ago on this date that the Georgetown police officer made the ultimate sacrifice, and we look at the ceremony planned for later today. Ocean City agreements, what the mayor and council could finalize right after the Labor Day holiday.
This is Coast TV News Today.
September 1st, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. It is 5:31 a.m. and First Alert meteorologist Bob Trahey joins us now to help you prepare as you make your way out the door. Bob, maybe making your way to your regular home.
Just kind of hanging out on this Labor Day, Matt. And this could be a cool day, not a bad day to be inside. And it's a cool start. 49 in Long Neck. Wow, 55 in Millsboro. So it's cool inland areas. Not as cool at the beaches, 60s to around 70 degrees because of a breeze off the ocean. And those breezes are pretty strong. Now, 20 miles per hour, Indian River Inlet, gusting to 22. So pretty breezy there. But then those winds dying down a little bit inland areas. But everybody will see a northeast breeze today. There could be a little bit of fog inland areas. Otherwise, we're looking at sunshine, some rain offshore, but cool high pressure with a northeast flow will keep us pretty cool through this Labor Day. Let's walk you through it on Futurecast. 50s and 60s, a little milder at the coast, and then everybody starts getting in on that northeast breeze, a mix of sun and clouds, and then by afternoon only into the mid-70s inland areas, low to mid-70s at the coast. So not the best beach day, and we're looking at cool conditions as we go into your Monday evening. If you're going for a run, I would do it early on because the winds will be light, and then those winds really picking up out of the northeast. Temperatures only in the mid-70s later on. Much more on the week ahead forecast coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thank you, Bob. Wrapping up the holiday weekend, here is what Coastal Highway looked like moments ago in Dewey Beach, and pretty quiet there. Not a lot of traffic on the road. The unofficial end to summer does likely mean a busy day on our roads later on. Let's go live to the Bay Bridge in Maryland, and let's see what's heading here. Not a lot of traffic in this area, and it's pretty much expected for 5:30-ish in the morning. This is a look at the westbound traffic heading back to Washington and Baltimore. Again, a big volume day expected later as we move into the morning. Labor Day weekend is widely considered the unofficial end to the summer season, and things here on the coast do tend to slow down a little bit. Coast TV News spoke with some businesses along the beach who had mixed feelings about what the long weekend means to them. Some in Rehoboth Beach tell us after this weekend, sales start to nosedive. However, one business we spoke with in Lewis says that's not always the case. This just in, the Georgetown community will gather today to honor a fallen officer. At 4:30 this afternoon, people will gather at the Georgetown Circle for a wreath-laying ceremony. It's in memory of Georgetown police officer Chad Spicer. Spicer was killed in the line of duty September 1st, 2009. We're seeing some video here of what happened when his memorial got ruined or damaged in a traffic incident at the Circle a few years ago. This year's remembrance comes as discussions continue about restoring Spicer's memorial. On Tuesday, Ocean City officials set to tackle several key items at their council meeting. This includes final votes on budget changes and a new mutual aid agreement with Worcester County. The council and mayor will also hold a second reading of the fiscal year 2025 budget and a second reading for a mutual aid agreement with the Worcester County Commissioners and the Worcester County Sheriff's Office. According to officials, the agreement would formalize the reciprocal law enforcement support between the Sheriff's Office and Ocean City Police. Backpacks are packed, classrooms are ready, and students are heading back to school. Coast TV's Elisa Weber shows us how local teachers are preparing for the new school year and shares important safety information.
And just like that, it's back to school time. But for Courtney Lee, a fourth grade teacher at Lulu M. Ross Elementary, summer break never really means disconnecting from her job.
I think we all never turn our teacher brain off. I think that's kind of an attribute of being a teacher. We're just all eagerly awaiting our students to return.
Teachers have the opportunity to leave a lasting impression on their students, something Amanda Howard, a kindergarten teacher at Longneck Elementary, experienced firsthand.
I have wanted to become a teacher since I was in kindergarten, and I have wanted to be a kindergarten teacher since I was in kindergarten. I did have a really amazing kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Boylan, and I just remember her being so kind, and we were allowed to do it was play back then, so we played, we learned, we did letters, but I do remember her being very involved and very kind, and I just want to be that for somebody and make that experience like I had, so that maybe one day they're like, I love school so much, I just can't get away from it.
A new school year brings a fresh start. The classrooms are clean, the decorations are in place, and the anticipation for the year ahead is ever growing.
When they're coming in, they're excited, they're bringing their supplies in, they're going to see who their best friends are here, they're going to create new friends. It's just a welcoming, fun, loving environment.
As students get ready to head back to school, we're going to see more school buses like these out on the roads. According to DelDOT in 2024, there were a total of 173 school bus-related crashes in Delaware, 36 of those happening in Sussex County. DelDOT is reminding drivers to always double-check crosswalks, use caution in school zones, never tailgate a school bus, and stop when the stop sign arm is extended. This stop sign is not a suggestion. Unfortunately, we live in a world where students' worries don't just revolve around getting good grades and making new friends. Safety is also a top concern. That's why the Delaware School Safety Center says it provides resources like emergency training, support for school safety grants, an anonymous reporting application, and more.
Being prepared is extremely important, right? So investing on that front end, when anyone's prepared for where they're going to be, or mainly to respond to something, they're going to do their job better.
For Coast TV News, I'm Elisa Weber.
Today is the first day of hunting season in Delaware, and over the weekend we learned of a Delaware judge's decision to strike down a rule that would have required 18 to 21-year-olds to hunt under adult supervision. The Superior Court ruled that Delaware's constitutional right to bear arms applies to anyone 18 and up. That means, starting this hunting season, young adults can head out on their own. The now blocked rule was part of a 2022 law that hadn't yet taken effect. With the drop in crime in Washington, D.C. after President Trump brought in the National Guard, talks of expanding that action into other big U.S. cities continues. Maryland's Governor Wes Moore controls his state's National Guard. Moore says he wants federal support, but calls the National Guard deployment in Maryland, quote, completely performative. Now taking a live look at Chicago, the Trump administration pushing forward with plans to start a big immigration enforcement operation inside this city. And this comes despite a pushback from local and state officials. President Trump telling Governor J.B. Pritzker in a social media post to address the crime in Chicago or the federal government will take charge. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson pushing back against the president, signing an executive order over the weekend that resists the administration's planned crackdown.
We've already had ongoing operations with ICE in Chicago and throughout Illinois and other states, making sure that we're upholding our laws. But we do intend to add more resources to those operations.
This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement.
And sources say the operation in Chicago could start within the next few days and may include a surge of federal agents and the National Guard. And we've got more news to get to in this half hour of Coast TV News Today. Coming up, keeping beaches clean. We'll tell you what organizers say you need to know about these efforts in Ocean City this month. Also, Sunday night shocker. A 4-game sweep of the Braves was at hand. How the Phillies let this one slip away. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
5:41 on our Labor Day Monday morning. Sun's up at 6:30 and starting to see brightening skies now in Salisbury. 56. It's a cool start. 49 in Long Neck, 55 Millsboro. Cool inland and a little milder at the beach, as close to 70 there, because you have a breeze, a pretty substantial breeze, gusting to about 20 miles per hour, and that northeast wind will be with us all day, keeping our Labor Day pretty cool. Do watch for areas of fog early on. Otherwise, we'll see sunshine and a northeast flow around cool high pressure keeps our temperatures below average on our Labor Day. Perhaps you're breaking out the clubs on this Labor Day, and our putt is good, and so is our weather. It's partly sunny, breezy, and mild, and temperature around 75. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone for your latest forecast, sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalis, Federico.
Beach cleanup days are back in Ocean City for September, giving volunteers a chance to help get trash off the shoreline. Organizers say events are scheduled every Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. It starts tomorrow, September 2nd. Locations change each week, including Northside Park and 13th Street at First Presbyterian Church. The cleanups are organized by Beach Heroes OC. Phillies looking to take full control of the National League East as they begin the final month of the regular season. Phils were impressive over the weekend at the park against the Braves, winning the first 3 of their series, and they went for the sweep last night. Sunday night baseball in South Philly. It was a scoreless game in the 4th. That's when Brandon Marsh, the bearded one, does that. 2 out, solo shot, and the Phillies open with the lead, 1-0. The Braves will get a run to tie it in the 8th, and then in the 9th, how about this Oppo power for Drake Baldwin? 2-run, Tater, and the Braves go out in front. Phillies were not threatened in the 9th. No sweep on a Sunday night. The Phillies lose 3-1 and begin September with a 6-game lead over the Mets in the division. One of NASCAR's crown jewel races running on Sunday night, and Chase Briscoe holds off Tyler Reddick at the end to capture the Southern 500, to earn a spot in the second round of the playoffs. That makes it back-to-back wins in this Labor Day weekend race for Briscoe. And coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, you can tune in to one of Pro Foot Volleyball. That's at 8, and that's followed by Outdoors Delmarva at 10:30. Time for entertainment news. Whether you favor movies focused on fighting or feelings, David Daniel has something for you in today's Hollywood Minute.
Johnny Cage, you have been chosen to fight.
Tell me you're not some crazy fans.
Fans of Mortal Kombat will have to wait a bit longer for the next film in the franchise. Warner Brothers has pushed back the release of Mortal Kombat 2, which was originally due out this October. Carl Urban stars in the action flick, now due in IMAX and other theaters May 15th, 2026.
A really heavily steeped environment for maleness. There's no room to talk about feeling, no room to talk about sexual identity.
There was this tone of, I gotta prove that I'm a man.
They attended an elite all-male prep school in the late 60s and early 70s. Nearly 50 years later, during COVID, they reconnected over Zoom and opened up to each other as they never could as boys. One of the grads, Peter Jones, turned their emotional reunions into the documentary Fortunate Sons, which debuts Wednesday on PBS stations and PBS.org. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Live look into Dover, slowly warming temperatures this morning, but still on the cool side as summer unofficially ends today on this Labor Day, and temperatures running below average pretty much all week. A slight chance of showers as we head into your Friday. I'll have much more on your forecast coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
Time is 5:47, and you're getting a live look now at one of the waterways in Ocean City. Bob, when it comes to Labor Day, we've had an experience of a wide range of conditions.
We have indeed, Matt, and this one is going to be cooler than average. We've had some that have been warmer and some that have been cooler. So let's take a look back in Georgetown. It was a hot Labor Day, a high of 92 back in 1954, 2014, 2018, and just a couple of years ago in 2023. And we've had cold starts too, 45 in 1982, and we've had wet ones too, 9200s in 1992. The coolest high was 69 back in 75, and the warmest low was 75 back in 99 and 2014. Now keep in mind the averages are 83 and 65. I don't think we get to the average high until later this week. And it's a cool start. We've got 49 in Long Neck, 55 in Georgetown, 52 in Redden, 50 in Harrington. So grab your jacket if you're headed out, and close to 70, 69 from Ocean City up to Lewis right now. We're seeing the breeze coming off the ocean. Of course, the water is warmer. That's why it's a little warmer there, and it's breezy too. We're seeing gusts over 20 miles per hour at the coast, and we're going to see that northeast wind with us all day. Watch out for areas of fog this morning. Otherwise, I think we're looking at partly sunny skies. There is an area of rain offshore that will stay there. We have high pressure across the Great Lakes, and that's pretty much anchored right over the top of us. That will continue to pump in the cool air and keep any of the wet weather away, which is across the Midwest and off the East Coast right now. So Futurecast this morning has us chilly inland, but at the beaches, 60s to around 70. The northeast winds start to pick up. We'll see clouds from time to time. By noon, we're into the mid 70s, and by 3 o'clock, only 77 in Salisbury and only low to mid 70s at the beaches. Not the best Labor Day to take a dip, maybe a cookout, but it's going to be cool with that breeze. And then overnight tonight, some clouds, and that could keep us a little warmer into tomorrow morning. I think we'll see some 50s as we go into tomorrow morning. And then by Tuesday afternoon, more of the same. That flow still off the ocean, and temperatures only into the 70s. And by Wednesday morning, we're in the 50s and 60s. Not expecting any rain. We're seeing some green showing up on this model, not expecting that. And by 4 p.m. Wednesday, we're in the mid to upper 70s away from the coast, and then low to mid 70s at the beaches. As far as the muggy meter, we're comfortable the next 3 days, but then you see a jump in the humidity by the end of the week into the weekend as our flow turns out of the south. But it's gusty northeast winds today, a little lighter tonight, but that tendency is still out of the east as we go through time, as we have that high pressure over the top of us, keeping us dry and cool the next few days. Only a slight chance of rain later Thursday and Friday with the cold front, but right now that's not looking all impressive at all. Upper 70s in Seaford, Lewis, and Laurel today with a breezy northeast wind. Upper 70s for the eastern shore, and upper 70s from Crisfield to Chincoteague. Paul Davis 7-day forecast. You see temperatures slowly creeping up the next few days, with overnight lows still in the 50s, and then lower 80s Thursday. Some showers Friday, not looking significant, 84. The weekend not bad, 83 Saturday, upper 70s Sunday, and mostly sunny.
All right, thank you, Bob. As we've been discussing all morning, it is Labor Day, the official day today. And while many people associate the holiday with end of summer cookouts and a day off of work, Coast TV news anchor Charlie Sakaitis shows us the history behind it.
Labor Day. What's it all about? Well, it's more than just a day off on the first Monday in September. It's more than the start of fall, the beginning of school, and the start of football. Labor Day is, after all, for the workers, the laborers. For the most part, we're talking about people with manufacturing jobs, construction jobs, farm hands, cleaners, and more. The people who do physical and usually hard work. It's a celebration of the achievements of the American worker, and it has got a long history. Labor activists pushed for a federal holiday of this kind all the way back in the late 19th century. And before it was a federal holiday, it was a local one. Some municipalities as early as 1885 pushed the idea. States like New York, Oregon, Colorado, Massachusetts, and New Jersey were all early adopters. In fact, more than half the country, including Delaware and Maryland, joined the fray before Grover Cleveland made it an official nationwide holiday in 1894. There is a bit of a dispute over who actually started the Labor Day push. It's generally between two men, Matthew McGuire and Peter McGuire. They weren't related, but they were both supporters of the working class, and both of them were on hand for the nation's very first Labor Day parade in New York City. A lot has changed in the more than 120 years since the federalization of Labor Day. In the early 20th century, America saw the rise of labor movements, unions, and the fight for better wages, shorter hours, and safer conditions. And you've got to remember the standard at the time: low wages, 60-hour work weeks, dangerous jobs, and no social safety net. But as America made its way through the Great Depression and a pair of world wars, those early efforts started to pay off. The New Deal era of America ushered in the Fair Labor Standards Act, creating the minimum wage, the 40-hour work week, and setting the stage for labor protections. Unions also gained power in the mid-20th century, and that's often credited with stronger negotiating power, better wages, and even benefits, things like pensions and health insurance for the working class. This graph from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities shows that from the 30s to the 50s, wealth inequality actually declined, and then it stayed somewhat flat until around 1980, when, according to data from the Congressional Budget Office, things started changing. Wages for the bottom 90% started to stagnate. Wealth inequality started to grow at a rapid pace, a trend that's continued all the way to present day. Here now in 2025, wealth inequality between the rich and the poor is again similar to the inequality of the late 1920s. Minimum wage purchasing power is at a near 70-year low, and a brand new technology, artificial intelligence, is also changing every field in ways we don't quite yet understand. So where do things go from here? Well, that's really for the politicians, the voters, and the corporations to decide. But in the meantime, if you get the day off, enjoy it, and keep labor in mind. Remember, they're the ones that keep this whole thing called America going.
All right, 5:54 this morning. Time to check in with our coastal pet of the day this hour. And today's coastal pet is up bright and early to watch her favorite news channel. On your screen, that's Savannah. And as you can see, Savannah never misses a daily dose of local news right here on Coast TV. So, Savannah, we appreciate you tuning in during the morning. And Savannah was submitted to us by Stephen, Helen, and Milford. We want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. On your screen is that QR code. Scan that, get your friends to us, and then watch weekdays 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature. 5:57 a.m. and now here's a quick look at your forecast before you head out the door. Bob, the end of the extended weekend sees some pleasant conditions.
I think so. Probably better for a cookout than a dip in the pool, but I know those younger kids are pretty bold, and we're looking at temperatures this morning pretty cool. Mid-morning, we're looking at upper 60s, and then by 2 p.m., 75, mostly sunny, and 67 at 7. So it's going to be breezy as well and cool. Paul Davis 10-day forecast. We do start to ramp up those temperatures with time. Mid to upper 70s Tuesday and Wednesday. Overnight lows also warming up, and then finally some 80s by the end of the week. A little more humidity. 82 Thursday, only a few showers Friday with a cold front. 84, we could use more significant rain. Weekend looks good. Lower 80s Saturday, cooler Sunday, and maybe another rain chance, and still cool into early next week.
All right, thanks, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, post-holiday beach business, the mixed experiences of several local establishments. That and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.